Good morning. It is 6:25 a.m. Let me take this time to welcome you to Sunrise here on Tobago Updates Television. I am your host, Lavion Cupid, and we are coming to you live from the Port Mall, downtown Scarborough, Tobago. Right before I came on set, on screen, or rather, you would have seen a beautiful aerial view of our harbor there in Scarborough. Kudos goes out to our technical crew and all that hard work that they do here, making our shots beautiful, coming to you live. Today is Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. Making sure that we nail 2026, because you know the tongue will slip and we would say 2025. Familiarity is where we love being the most. I want to welcome you and thank you so much for joining us here on Tobago Updates Television and for making us your number one choice to wake you up on a morning. As per usual, I have a lovely lineup for you this morning as we talk geopolitical tensions, but we also speak to the Tobago House of Assembly election as we continue to get familiar with some of the candidates come next week, Monday, when Tobagonians head to the polls at 6 a.m., culminating at 6 p.m. And Tobago Updates Television will be taking you right down till the very last ballot is counted and the revelation of who will steer the Tobago House of Assembly forward for the next 4 years. As per usual, I start you off with the morning brief, where we keep you updated with all things current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago as a wider entity, regionally and internationally. So starting off the morning, some 40 Tobagonians received a combined $600,000 in grants from the National Commission for Self-Help during a presentation ceremony held on Monday, January 5th at the Hamden Lowlands Multipurpose Center. The ceremony was attended by Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, who joined the beneficiaries in marking the milestone toward increased independence and economic opportunity. The grants form part of the Commission's ongoing program aimed at supporting micro and macro infrastructural projects, empowering individuals, strengthening communities, and promoting greater self-reliance and sustainability across Tobago. Always something you want to see. Always lovely to see young people, Tobagonian citizens, being empowered to financial sustainability for themselves. So always kudos to see that. The Inter-Island Ferry APT James is now scheduled to return to service on January 9th, 2026, 6 days later than previously announced January 3rd date. The vessel was taken out of service on November 20th, 2025 for its mandatory 5-year dry docking and special survey, which has been successfully completed. NITCO confirmed all fees and post-docking procedures are complete. Minister of Works and Infrastructure Jerlene John said the ferry's return is key to maintaining the safety and reliability of the Inter-Island Sea Bridge, while NITCO thanked the public for its patience. Some good news there for Tobagonians. I mean, Trinidad and Tobago citizens as a wider community, but of course, Tobagonians, we depend heavily on the Inter-Island service and also the air bridge. And so it's always good news. And then we would have had Chief Secretary Fali Augustine announcing the Blue Wave on its way from Egypt coming to take over from the MV Cabo Star. Moving over to news in Trinidad, but still affecting us, all of us here as Trinbagonians. A coconut vendor in Trinidad has garnered much public attention after he was ticketed with over $19,000 worth of traffic fines by the TTPS following the major increase on Christmas Day. Speaking to media personnel, Ravi Babulal said it was impossible for him to pay the fines within a month and fears he may have no choice but to sell his van, which he relies on to transport his coconuts. Conversation buzzing a buzzer on social media, $19,000 to pay within 30 working days or 30 days flat. Mr. Babulal, I'm not sure that he makes $19,000 per month. And even if he did make $19,000, to take $19,000, all your earnings to pay traffic fines, ticket fines. But we wait to see how it all unfolds. I know citizens are quite displeased with the new increase, 100% increase in traffic fines. Moving over regionally, Nassau, the Bahamas. 4 alleged drug traffickers are in custody after the U.S. Coast Guard offloaded more than $19 million worth of illegal drugs in Nassau. The cutter Winslow aggressor transferred 2,533 pounds of cocaine and 2.2 pounds of marijuana, along with 4 suspects, to the Royal Bahamas Force following an interdiction by U.S. CGC alert in the Caribbean Sea. This offload underscores our strong partnership with our Bahamian law enforcement counterparts, said Lieutenant Colonel Pascal, U.S. Coast Guard liaison officer to the Bahamas and TCI. And finally, wrapping up internationally, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that the interim authorities in Venezuela will transfer, get this, between 30 million and 50 million barrels of sanctioned high-quality crude oil to the United States. Calling the move a major development for both countries, Trump said the oil will be sold at market price and that he will oversee the proceeds to ensure the funds benefit both the Venezuelans and Americans. He also directed Energy Secretary Chris Wright to begin implementation immediately, with the oil shipped by storage vessels directly to the U.S. docks. The announcement comes amid continued geopolitical tensions following a U.S. military operation that ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and intensified the debate over sanctions, control of Venezuelan resources, and the future of U.S.-Venezuela relations. 30 to 50 million barrels of Venezuelan oil, sanctioned oil, to be handed over to the United States of America. Of course, President Trump said that both countries will benefit. That is always the hope. We have a major powerhouse, and Venezuela at one point in time was the powerhouse of South America, of Latin America. And so let us hope and see what will happen. So something like a powerhouse and a middleman. We're hoping for, of course, a very, very favorable result for Venezuela. And staying on geopolitical tensions, speaking with me this morning is Captain Gary Griffith, a former commissioner of police. We are speaking on the geopolitical tensions, but a lot of persons are of the opinion that the U.S. went into Venezuela, ousted President Nicolas Maduro, and he's now out of the country. He's facing charges of 4 indictments in a New York court. And persons of the opinion, well, that's it, it's wrapped up. The U.S. went in, and now we look forward to see what will happen. But to think that President Nicolas Maduro does not have, out of 30 million citizens in Venezuela, doesn't have loyal backing, that there wasn't a plan, that they didn't think that if the U.S. came in and took such an action, what would be our retaliation? Would there be any retaliation? Was there a plan by President Nicolas Maduro and his loyal followers or his loyal comrades in Venezuela, or just the Venezuelans as a whole, as a people who are displeased with what has recently occurred? And so this morning we speak to Captain Griffith on any possible military strategy that Venezuela may have. Captain Griffith, good morning, and thank you so much for joining me here on Sunrise.
Good morning. Good morning. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, sir. So speaking on the recent incursion, to think that President Nicolas Maduro did not have a backup plan might be asinine in thought by itself. And so my question to you this morning, sir, is what is the realistic prospect that there is going to be some sort of asymmetrical plan, whether it's guerrilla action or militia action from Venezuela with the recent incursion?
You're quite correct. Good morning again. There are so many different directions this can go. The jury is still out because it's not over until Delcy sings. You're hearing one comment by the U.S. president where he's saying that they are in control of Venezuela and they're going to run Venezuela. So initially I thought, well, that is it. Delcy has sold out because he didn't support the opposition leader who we thought had over 70% of the votes in the election. He trivialized her support and her respect in Venezuela. And he has turned to anointing or sitting that Delcy will now take over. Delcy Rodriguez has now started speaking in glowing terms about Maduro still. So it is still to be seen if it is that the U.S. does not have full control. It may very well be that Maduro support element will still have an indirect control of Venezuela. But then after you now hear that Venezuela have agreed to hand over 3 to 5 billion US in oil to the United States. So we don't know if Delcy is just playing both sides or there's been some strategic thing that has taken place. And you are correct. You'd have seen it in Vietnam, you'd have seen it in other places around the world where you just don't drop over easily and succumb. There may be great support base for Maduro still in Venezuela, inclusive of their military, but there will also be the masses that will be very pleased of what has taken place. What that could become? Civil war. So there can very well be that angle internally as it pertains to Venezuela, where many people would have been pleased by what has happened to Maduro, where others, inclusive of arms of the military, may not. And with that things like this when it is you remove the head, many times you have that instability in a country, and that can very well lead to civil war. So that's one element that can take place within Venezuela. If that happens, then that is with the concern that I spoke about, where I was hoping that the government would be liaising with the United States to prevent a fallout of that can affect Trinidad and Tobago. Because if that happens, you're going to get hundreds of thousands of persons trying to leave Venezuela if it is massive instability to come across to Trinidad and Tobago. And you're speaking about that's going to cause a massive increase in unemployment. It's going to affect health, education, the economy, crime, because of lack of jobs and so forth. So that is a concern. We have not put a strategic plan to secure our borders in the eventuality of that taking place. If it does not take place, and there's that total control that the United States would have, well, then Venezuela could very well turn into the land of milk and honey as it was decades ago. The fallout of that can benefit Trinidad and Tobago because, thankfully, the decision made by the Prime Minister not to turn her back on the United States can very well now come to benefit us, because if the United States starts to bring in certain agencies in the energy sector to Venezuela, you're going to get a rippling effect into Trinidad and Tobago as it pertains to investment and findings and so forth in the energy sector. So it can very well benefit Trinidad and Tobago. Had she turned her back, the United States would have then said, well, that is your problem to deal with. And then remember the last comments made by Venezuela: if the United States attacks us, know what is the next step that will take place, which will be Trinidad and Tobago. So it is all very, very, it's up in the air right now. I think the next 72 odd hours will tell a lot. What I do not think will happen is that if the United States may very well turn to phase 2 if they don't have full control of Venezuela. So if Delcy decides to flex some muscles, the United States, the President of the United States said it. He said, if they don't understand, I will go to phase 2 on the operation. Phase 2 means a total assault. And with that now, then you're going to start seeing Venezuela will be totally turned upside down. And again, obviously, you'll have the rippling effect that can affect Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. Captain Griffith, let me ask you, from your experience and expertise, where do you think Venezuela's strength lies? Is it by tactical air attack? Is it guerrilla attack? Where do you think their strength lies?
It's a variety. They have a very well-structured military. So as it pertains to anything dealing with hostility or armed conflict with countries such as Guyana or Trinidad and Tobago, anywhere in the Caribbean, and many other countries in Central America, they will be outgunned. Their air capability is very powerful, which was a major concern that I continue to have. It's not to put fear in Trinidad and Tobago, but when you hear a country state that we are harboring criminal elements and to destabilize a country, and if it is that happens, they have the right to go into that country to extract those individuals. Then state that Trinidad and Tobago is a territory of Venezuela. Then state that if U.S. attacks Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago will know what will happen to them. Those are 3 trigger points of a country planning to invade another country. And that is why, thankfully, the United States would support us now, because we did not turn our backs on them. If that happens, the perception that we believe Venezuela is going to come here with an armada on sea and so forth. That's not going to happen. The type of war that you see now is we press of a button through drone missile launching and so forth, and we do not have that support element. So hopefully that's why we keep speaking about that radar in Tobago. That radar can be a very deciding factor to assist in securing Trinidad and Tobago if it is we can acquire some type of surface-to-air missiles in the anticipation of that. As I said, thankfully, with the United States supporting us, the United States still being in the Southern Caribbean, we have nothing to worry about. Venezuela is not going to throw a stone at Trinidad and Tobago, but the numbers that they have, it is very strong. It is not a highly trained, not the majority are not highly trained, as you will see with the United States type of military or the United Kingdom. However, their military, as it pertains to air, land, and sea, it is very powerful. Sometimes they are not very professional and disciplined, as we would have seen as what has taken place with the La Guardia Nacional, a rogue law enforcement agency that continued for decades to enter Trinidad and Tobago's territorial waters, attack our fishermen, seize their nets, seize their catch, seize their vessels, and nothing was done by the Venezuelan government. So it shows that degree of arrogance, animosity, and dictatorial concept that you have even within their own military. And when you have militaries like that, they can very well shift depending on how the tide swings. So depending on what happens with the United States, that military may very well succumb or decide to support whoever is working with Venezuela and the United States. I mean, and a final point on that, when you see what took place with the actual extraction of Maduro, as much as, I mean, I have worked with many of these special forces elements in the United States and the United Kingdom. They are second to none, but they are not avengers. It is impossible for you to have an assault and extract a president in a country with so much military power and there was not a casualty. Obviously, it meant that they were selling out. Certain bodyguards or military persons in Venezuela would have guided, supported, turned a blind eye, explained where the switch was, where the corridor was, where he would be. So that alone shows the type of you're not going to get that in the US. You're not going to get that in European countries. The type of individuals who are properly trained, polygraph qualified to secure president. So that again shows as much as they have numbers, the quality that you have in that military is not on par with what you'll have in North American and European countries.
Right. Captain Griffith, you touched on so much, and it's always so insightful speaking with you. You touched on the possible immigration fallout for Trinidad and Tobago, because we would have seen that neighboring countries where there's unrest, where there's war, civil unrest, those countries see at the mass of 25,000 people sometimes per week landing on their shores. And we know that Trinidad and Tobago's economy, we are already at our fringes, right there to fall apart, and we would not be able to hold on. You also clarified that, yes, President Maduro will have support in Venezuela, and a possible plan would have been made long before the incursion. My question here to you is, yes, the U.S. military has been training with Trinidad and Tobago's regiment. So is it wise to say or fair to say that our military will now be able or capable, if after all of this would have passed and there is rest in Venezuela, just in case Venezuela decides to remember, just like we say that China will always remember what Russia did to them. If Venezuela decides to remember and say this was Trinidad and Tobago's part in this incursion in 2025, in 2026 or rather, and decides to act, do you think that the training that our military is receiving now will be beneficial for something like that?
Yeah, so let me, many times people criticize our military. I spent 17 years in the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. They are second to none. Most of our officers have gone on courses. Our military personnel have gone in operations, and they have excelled. They have topped these courses. Even some of these, the same general that came here to E-doubles, he was actually trained in the same military academy as many of our chiefs of defense staff, the Brigadier General Carl Alfonso, Ansel Antoine, Eddie Dillon, John Sandy. So when people try to trivialize our military, you're trivializing our military, not by the persons, but by the equipment. And that has to do with government support. In 1990, when I was one of the youngest soldiers in the attempted coup defending democracy, we had armored personnel carriers 35 years later, we don't. If it is that there's a situation now of hostage negotiation or us getting into a place to extract someone, we have to use the back of a pickup. So it is because of the government for the last 35 years incompetence in understanding how to provide the proper resources. So our personnel are well trained. They don't have the support elements because the state has never seen the importance of it. When I drafted that Ministry of Defense 15 years ago for Kamala Prasad Bissessar, it was for this eventuality. And now when you're looking at what is happening, we have a Coast Guard where I acquired 12 diamond vessels in as Minister of National Security in 2014 for 1.2 billion less than the OPVs. And for 10 years, the PNM government refused to touch it or use it. So the Coast Guard virtually does not have any proper vessel to secure not just our exclusive economic zone, which is from 10 to 200 miles out, but even to secure that thin strip of water between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago in case of the eventuality of mass migration. The Air Guard, as Minister of National Security, we left them with 4 helicopters, 2 aircraft. Now the Air Guard doesn't even have a kite to fly. There's nothing the Air Guard has. Same thing with our military. For the last year and a half, the Defense Force the Army has not had a recruiting drive, but you're putting advertisements for immigration and fire officers, nothing against it. But this is a critical time to build our military. So we have been the military has been sidelined because of the government not understanding the importance. This government, even though the Prime Minister was chair of the National Security Council for 5 years in her first tour of duty, there's no one, absolutely no one with any type of military experience whatsoever. That is rare. Usually from the period of the Joe Theodore, the John Sandys, the Carl Alfonso, the Gary Griffith, the Eddie Dillon, the Ansel Antoines, you had military persons in government. This government has none. Law enforcement, the most senior law enforcement experienced person was junior middle management, which is Roger Alexander. He never led more than 10 persons. So because of that, they may not understand. And that's why I kept insisting that they get some type of strategic advice from senior military officers to guide the government in this situation to ensure that we can be properly protected in the eventuality, not just from a possible attack by external countries, because that is the role and function of the Defense Force, but also to protect us from that type of problem that you just spoke about. I experienced it firsthand in the United Nations mission in Haiti when I was in command of administration, finance, logistics, human resource. And there were thousands of Haitians leaving Haiti on a regular basis, trying to get across to Jamaica, Bahamas. And I had to coordinate getting aircraft to pack them, get them back into Haiti. Some of them will be cracking open the exit door and jumping while the aircraft is 30,000 feet above. It is very, very it's an unfortunate situation, but that is what could become reality if we don't anticipate and prepare for these things. Right. The government doesn't have persons to guide them to say, this is what we need to do. And because of that, United States, we need your help. We need vessels to be able to protect that area. We need to triple up the number of police officers in the Southwestern Peninsula stations. We need Army presence to patrol the shoreline in the Southwestern Peninsula. We need Coast Guard presence, and we need support of the U.S. to refurbish these vessels so that the Coast Guard can be fully manned to protect us from this eventuality. And of course, making sure that the United States works with us in the eventuality that someone in Venezuela remembers what they promised if the United States attacks Venezuela.
Right, Captain Griffith, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Always insightful and never enough time, because I wanted to dive into the underutilization of our military. But you know what? I'm definitely going to invite you back here as we continue this conversation. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Captain Griffith. Viewers, so that was
Always
Captain Gary Griffith, our former Commissioner of Police, and we're speaking about any possible retaliatory actions from Venezuela, because a lot of persons think the U.S. went in, Maduro is out, it's all over. It could never all be over. And as he did confirm, of course, President Nicolas Maduro would have had some sort of backup plan with his loyal comrades within Venezuela. And so we wait to see what may or may not unfold and how Trinidad and Tobago needs to be prepared and any possible fallout, not just immigration, but any possible fallout from any attacks. It is the Tobago House of Assembly election carded for next week, Monday, January 12th, and we continue to get familiar with candidates. This morning, speaking with me is Mr. Kervin Horsford, known as Harvest God. He's a People's National Movement candidate for Lambo Lowlands, joining me this morning as we have a conversation. Mr. Horsford, good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning to you, all your listeners. Good morning to the entire island of Tobago. Special good morning to the electoral district of Lambo Lowlands.
All right. Thank you again for joining us. So, sir, I want to delve right into it. As a new politician on the scene, first time throwing your hat into the political ring, how has it been on the ground? How has the people received you thus far within your constituency?
Well, I must say, especially within my electoral district, the support has been incredible. It's nothing that I'm surprised of because majority of the people that would have known me or have been even following me in the social media space would attest to the fact that although not in active politics, I've always been there. I've always been on the ground with the people. I've always been service to the people, and most important of all, I've always been of service to the island. So I mean, I think it was a natural gel, a natural mesh. The transition.
All right. And even as you say a service to the people, even as you say service to the people, so I hope you're hearing me clearly. I want to ask you though, is it that you were always a part of the People's National Movement? And if not, why was it that you chose the People's National Movement to align your ethics, your principles, and see yourself moving forward, serving Tobago under the umbrella of the People's National Movement?
I love that question. I have been a registered member of the People's National Movement approximately 8 years now. There's the rhetoric out there that the People's National Movement would have used me because of my popularity. I just want to debunk that and make it be known that the People's National Movement did not come to me to be a candidate in this election. I mean, I mean, everyone is sitting and seeing what have been going on in the Tobago space, and as a concerned citizen, I saw the need to make myself available. One thing I believe in is that it doesn't matter what color you're wearing, whether it's red, blue, green, purple. If you are sitting and paying attention to what is going on, you could confidently say and rightfully say Tobago is not winning. And I genuinely believe that as Tobagonians, all of us as Tobagonians, supposed to win no matter who is governing this island. Why I would have chosen the PNM? PNM is a party about stability. PNM is a party about putting people before politics. I've looked at so many things that the PNM would have done from since 20 years, 18 years ago. And one thing that I think that have pushed me the most and inspired me the most is where education is concerned. I remember Mr. Pandey had a saying where he said, education is the way out of poverty. And plenty Tobagonians, plenty Trinbagonians, I would say, would have had the necessary qualifications, would have had the necessary education to be able to pursue their dreams. But because of lack of finances, because of not coming from a rich family, they just couldn't pursue their dreams. And one thing I love that the People's National Movement, through the GATE program, would have made it possible to pursue your dreams. And for me, that's one thing that have really moved me, because clearly visible, this organization is about putting people's interests first and
Right.
building our country.
And of course, I want to touch on this magnificent brand that you have built single handedly. And I want to ask you, sir, are you concerned about your brand with any political affiliations? Or are you still going to be pushing forward and serving the people of Tobago, serving the tourism sector, especially of Tobago?
I love that question. The thing is, for me, my brand is bigger than me. One thing I will not stop doing, doesn't matter what chair I'm sitting in, doesn't matter which hat I'm wearing, I'm not going to stop promoting this lovely island. Um, in terms of getting into politics, there's some people that see it as I am now a politician. How I view it is basically that I've basically just taken another direction in better serving the people and to be able to better market this country from a tourism aspect. And it's something that anyone that knows me would know that I'm truly and genuinely passionate about. As you would have mentioned, I built this single-handedly with absolutely no assistance from anyone. And you could just imagine, had I had the necessary resources, had I had the necessary support, had I not been viewed as a PNM and given the support just to maximize the possibility and the reach of what I'm doing, you could imagine how much more I would have been able to do for this island. For me, it's really inspiring to see the amount that I have done on my own, and I'm definitely not going to stop. Harvest Code, whether, even when I become the next assemblyman for Lambo Lowlands, Harvest Code is going to remain. I'm going to continue marketing this beautiful island just the way that I have been doing.
All right. And so I want to ask you, as we're speaking about your electoral district, what are some of the complaints or cries that you might have heard in your district during your walkabout? And give me at least 2 or 3 and how you decide that you are going to address these.
I think one of the main things is people over the years have become disenchanted when it comes to at election time, or the politician is there, they're giving you all these promises, they're asking you for your vote, they're asking you for your support, and after being elected, poof, they just disappear. There's some people that you hear, they have seen their assemblyman 4 years ago. There's some people that say that they have never even seen him, and then it's election time again, and you appear again asking for the people to employ you. Because I think this is one thing that the people don't pay enough attention to, which is the fact that we, the people, are the ones that employ the politicians. And when you employ someone, they are expected to work for you, and that has not happened. The people are disappointed, the people are disenchanted, and that is one of the biggest cries that I've heard in terms of absence of representation. In some cases, there are no representation. One thing that a lot of people often mention is that, especially being an individual that have been active in the sporting arena his entire life, even becoming the secretary for sports, when you look at what have been done in the electoral district, nothing. Nothing. We see their tennis courts.
So then what can the constituents expect from prospective Assemblyman Kerwin Horsford then, in replacement
without a doubt,
sort of trend?
Without a doubt, I can assure you they're gonna get good representation. I'm gonna be always available and accessible to you. I'm definitely gonna be responding to your calls, even when I miss them. I'm going to be working hand in hand with you to better serve you, to better uplift our communities, to better build our youth, to better work and inspire, to better work and collaborate with our business community. There's so much that our community could improve on. And I'm going to make myself available to work not just for you, not just for them, but to work hand in hand along with them to make our community a better place and a more productive space.
All right. And Mr. Horsford, finally, as we wrap, next week, Monday, your constituents, they head to the polls. I want to know, you are going up. I know there are 2 other persons within, one from the IDA and one from the Tobago People's Party. Of course, the incumbent is Wayne Clark. Tell me, how confident are you feeling facing the polls? When the polls close at 6 p.m., what would your headspace be? How are you feeling?
I am extremely confident. I'm not allowing my confidence to have me complacent. I'm continue putting in the work. I'm continue hitting the ground. I'm continue reaching out to my people, working with my people, and being there for them. Even although I'm not even the assemblyman as yet, I'm on the ground with them. I'm there with them. I'm extremely confident, and I'm genuinely looking forward to Monday 12th to becoming your official assemblyman of the Lambo Lowlands electoral district.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Horsford. Viewers, we were talking to People's National Movement candidate.
Thank you for having me.
Lowlands, Mr. Kerwin Horsford, saying he's confident facing the polls on Monday. And of course, Tobago Updates Television, we will be bringing you live coverage later that night as each and every single ballot is counted right down to the last one, giving you stats, giving you polling stations, electoral districts, the atmosphere, the different camps. right here on Tobago Updates Television. You want to be right here. I want to thank you so much for joining Sunrise this morning. But the programming is not done on Tobago Updates Television. We head on over to Youth Wednesdays with Luke and Jesha. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing, Lavian?
I am well. It's so good to hear your voice this morning, Luke. Jesha, how are you?
Good morning. I'm well, and how are you?
I am well. So next week, Monday, are you all ready to dip your fingers in the ink?
Most definitely.
Most definitely, yes. I think it's always good to exercise our democratic right as young people, especially. Jesha, what are your thoughts?
Yes, of course. We must exercise our democratic rights as young people. And what about you, Lavian? Are you excited?
I would be there. And then when I'm finished there, I'll be right here on Tobago Updates Television, bringing the people coverage right down till the final ballot. And guess what? I might probably be the one on screen calling it and letting you know who will be taking us through the next 4 years. As I've said before, election time is my favorite season. Guys, I want to wish you a wonderful day and a great program. I know you have a packed show for viewers this morning. All right, so I'll see you tomorrow. Viewers, thank you so much for joining Sunrise right here on Tobago Updates Television. Thank you so much for waking up early to join me. Tomorrow we continue conversations as we speak to an expert going into more of the geopolitical tensions, and we also speak to more candidates right here on Sunrise. I want to thank you again for joining us, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.
Welcome to Belgro's Funeral Home, where we celebrate life's precious moments. From the moment you enter our doors, you're met with kindness and care. Our reception area is designed to be more than just a waiting room. It is a place of calm, thoughtfully created to ease the weight of grief. In our private conference room, conversations are guided by empathy. Here, our client experience coordinators sit beside you, not just across the table to help plan a service that truly reflects your loved one's story. Whether it's a traditional farewell or a personalized celebration of life, we take time to understand your wishes and offer thoughtful guidance. At the heart of our organization is a dedicated manager who ensures that everything runs smoothly, from the smallest detail to the final farewell. We understand that choosing a casket or a coffin is a deeply personal decision. In our selection room, we provide a calm, respectful environment where families can take their time and explore options that reflect their loved one's life, beliefs, and preference. Our spacious chapel is where memories are honored and lives are celebrated. Designed with serenity and warmth, it provides a welcoming space for families and friends to come together in reflection and remembrance. For families choosing cremation, we offer on-site professional cremation services in a setting that upholds dignity, peace, and confidentiality. Our crematorium offers a seamless and respectful alternative to traditional burial, giving families flexibility while maintaining the highest standard of care.
put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, viewers. When last I hear this voice and see this face, yes, I'm so excited to be back here on this show, our favorite Wednesdays, the Youth Morning Show. Now, for those of you new here, you're new to the Tobago Updates family, and you don't know this face or this voice from a place, my name is Luke James Trim, and I'm so happy to join you all this morning. Now, viewers, I have a surprise. I have a new face and a new name, so I'm gonna just shift all the attention over to this beautiful young lady, and her name is no stranger to the Tobago space, Miss Jaysha Degans. Jaysha, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Luke, and thank you so much for such a warm welcome. I'm doing fine. How are you this morning?
I'm excited. I'm excited this morning. I think that's the word to describe our show. That's the word to describe the season we are in. I think
Definitely.
Excited is just the perfect word for everything that's happening on the island.
You're so right. And I am excited as well, and more so excited to work alongside you.
Oh, don't gas me up here. I'm heads off. So, Jaysha, just tell our viewers just a little 30 seconds introduction about who Jaysha Degans is.
Well, Jaysha Degans is an attorney at law. I am a former national, regional, and Commonwealth youth parliamentarian, and I'm a Tobagonian. I'm a Bagonian. Hey.
I love that. All right, Jaysha. So at this moment, we're just going to shed the spotlight on you once again to give us the news in 90 seconds.
Viewers, here is what's making news in 90 seconds for Wednesday, January 7th, 2025. Some 40 Tobagonians received a combined $600,000 in grants from the National Commission for Self-Help during a presentation ceremony held on Monday, January 5th at the Hampden Lowlands Multipurpose Center. The ceremony was attended by Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, who joined beneficiaries in marking the milestone towards increased independence and economic opportunity. The grants form part of the Commission's ongoing program aimed at supporting micro and macro infrastructural projects, empowering individuals, strengthening communities, and promoting greater self-reliance and sustainability across Tobago. The Inter-Island Ferry, APT James, is now scheduled to return to service on January 9, 2026, 6 days later than the previously announced January 3rd date. The vessel was taken out of service on November 20th, 2025 for its mandatory 5-year dry docking and special survey, which has been successfully completed. NIDCO confirmed that all fees and post-docking procedure are complete. The Minister of Works and Infrastructure, Jerlene John, said that the ferry's return is key to maintaining the safety and reliability of the Inter-Island Sea Bridge, while NIDCO thanked the public for its patience. A coconut vendor in Trinidad has garnered much public attention after he was ticketed with over $19,000 worth of traffic fines by the TTPS, following the major increase on Christmas Day. Speaking to media personnel, Mr. Ravi Babulal said it was impossible for him to pay the fines within a month and fears that he may have no choice but to sell his van, which he relies on to transport his coconuts. These and other stories in our major newscast at 6:30 p.m. Be viewing Tobago Updates Television, and that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you so much, Jaysha, for that excellent and articulate reading of the news in 90 seconds. Viewers, you know it's always a vibe here on Tobago Updates. And I just want to shout out even our regional viewers, those joining us all the way from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, David Laborde. Good morning to you. And Shikoi Waters, I know you're going to see this very soon. Now, Jaysha, now is the fun part, my favorite part, the birthdays. I don't know, I just love to wish people happy birthday. Like, It's just my most favorite thing to do. And first on all this, we're going to be sending out happy birthday to Mr. Kurt Chapman. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Lovely. Next on our list, we are sending birthday greetings to Bert Boris. Happy birthday to you, and I hope you enjoy your day today. And lastly on our list, we have Sharice Brathwaite. A special happy birthday to you, and I hope you enjoy your day today. Jaysha. today's and this morning's show is going to be a fun and filled and packed and exciting one, because we're just going to be speaking all things politics. As someone who is alive to what goes on in the youth space, we would have noticed that most of the candidates on both sides, they are young at heart. They are actual young people. So what are your thoughts on seeing people who look like us, offering themselves to serve the island of Tobago?
Look, that is such a positive thing, because when we grew up, we saw older persons involved in politics. And I don't know if you felt this way, but I often felt like, okay, probably I'm too young to be involved in politics. But seeing youth representation, it is such a positive thing, because I think it will definitely motivate the young people in Tobago and even Trinidad by extension, that politics is not just for the older heads. Young people can get involved as well. How do you feel?
I feel at ease, and I feel like the island is taking the right step, the forward steps, because like you said, when we grew up as young children, when we look at our politicians, they always had a certain look or a certain age, and nothing is wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. We always love people who have experienced life and have the knowledge and the experience to lead our island.
Definitely.
But on that same backdrop, young people have the potential too. So I'm very pleased to see that our youth are taking the right step. That our youth are saying, listen, we can lead and we want to lead, and this is us offering ourselves to lead the island of Tobago. Jaysha, so this morning we have King on the Noon. We'll be chatting with Dr. Denise Soyafat Angus after, and we'll be ending the show with Mr. Akil Guy. They are all political candidates in this year's THA election, so we're excited to see what they have to share with us. Now, viewers, we're going to take a quick break. Just remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
To vote is simple. The Elections and Boundaries Commission advises that before Election Day, you should receive your poll card in the mail. Open it to find the address of your polling station. Keep the poll card safe and take it with you on Election Day. If you did not receive your poll card in the mail, you can still vote. A poll card will be prepared for you at your polling station. You can also visit the EBC's website at www.ebctt.com or call the hotline at 785-8206 or 785-8211 to find your polling station. On Election Day, you should check the list posted outside your polling station for your name and number. Where there are several polling stations on the same compound, an information officer will direct you to your polling station. Polling agents who act on behalf of candidates are there to witness the process. If your name is on the list of electors and you have a valid ID card, you join the green line. All other persons, including physically incapacitated, blind or visually impaired persons, should join the red line. You are required to sign your poll card in front of the poll clerk. The deputy presiding officer examines your hands and fingers. If there is no evidence of electoral ink stains, you're issued a ballot paper. The deputy presiding officer also demonstrates how to mark and fold a ballot paper using the guidance ballot and how to vote with the X stamp. The ballot paper is folded to display the initials of the deputy presiding officer and the polling station number. A blind, visually impaired or physically incapacitated person is allowed to vote with the assistance of a companion. In the privacy of the voting booth, you vote by placing an X at the right of your candidate's symbol. If you make a mark other than an X, your ballot will be rejected and not counted. Fold your ballot paper as you were previously shown by the deputy presiding officer and proceed to the officer in charge of the ballot box. Display your folded ballot paper with the initials of the deputy presiding officer and polling station number. You will then be required to dip your finger in the electoral ink before you are allowed to place your ballot paper in the ballot box. If you refuse to dip your finger in the electoral ink, you will not be allowed to vote. When you've finished with this process, wipe off the excess ink. Any problem you encounter in the polling station should be brought to the attention of the presiding officer. To vote is your right. Exercise it. A message from the Elections and Boundaries Commission, your partners in democracy.
The following is a paid political advertisement.
Tobago, stand up and be counted. Join the TPP family on Wednesday, January 7th for 2 powerful public meetings. Come out at AMPLIA and Glen Road Junction at 6 p.m. Come here, the best candidate for Darrell Spring Wim, Ricky Joe Field, shaped and grounded by community and family values. A vision-driven leader, ready to serve and transform the district. Then we journey to Bethel together at Egypt Junction, Bethel at 8 p.m. Come here, the best candidate for Bethel New Grange, Darren Henry, a service-driven leader who is ready to serve the community. 1 night, 2 meetings. Come out in your numbers on Wednesday, January 7th, 6 p.m. at AMPLIA and Glen Road Junction, Glen Road, and Egypt Junction, Bethel from 8 p.m. Tobago is we. Tobago deserves excellence. On January 12th, 2026, vote for bold leadership. Vote for the anchor. Vote for the Tobago People's Party. Go
Tobago is we vote in TPP, Tobago People's Party. Now the anchor host.
Who said the elderly can't have fun too? We talking good food, proper music, lots of games, and a day at the beach they will never forget. From the time we left the compound at Heavenly Care Home for the Elderly, the vibe was already established. Wheels up and seatbelts on. Watch now, when we touched down in Pigeon Point, everybody was ready for excitement. But before anything could take place, we had to secure bellies. You ever play bingo by the beachside? Well, that was the first activity on the roster, and boy did these seniors have fun. However, others wanted something more physical, so we brought out the ring toss, and not even arthritis could have stopped them. Well, I was blown away at how straight these people were. Are you sure this is a home for the elderly? Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday, but nothing beats the song of Good Steel Pan by the shores while we take a dip in Tobago's finest water. Wait, more food again? This is my type of event. The energy was amazing and nothing short of a blessing. Pick up Heavenly Care Home for the Elderly, because joy doesn't retire, laughter doesn't age, and memories like these last forever.
To a stranger.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates Youth Morning Show. Now, politics, and more politics. With just 5 days until the THA elections, tensions are rising, stakes are high, and the most important question is, will Tobagoans renew the TPP's political contract for 4 more years, or will January 12, 2026 be the day that the PNM's comeback is mounted? Now, viewers, as we start this morning's political conversations, we are joined this morning by Mr. Akil Guy, and he is the People's National Movement candidate for the area of Bethesda, Lekito. And viewers, when we were chatting off camera, he insisted that we let you all know that Gordon Lane is also included in the mix. Now, Mr. Guy, a special morning to you, and how are you doing?
Hi, good morning to you. Good morning to Tobago at large. Good morning to my district, Bethesda, Lekito, Gordon Lane. And I'm doing pretty well, and thanks for having me on the show.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Guy. Now, we want to get to know you a bit better. If you were to describe yourself in 30 seconds or less, or somebody was to ask, who is Akil? What would that response sound like?
Akil is generally a reserved person, generally an outgoing person as well, a person that's a community-driven person, love sports, love people, and love giving back our whole, love business, love mentorship. That's generally Akil Guy.
Okay, Mr. Guy, so what motivated you to get into politics?
What would have motivated me to get into politics is the fact that, you know, we're living in the society, and we're seeing what are you contributing to the society at large? Are you adding, or are you just watching or passing by? And I think that I've always been a person who likes to add value to the communities, and this is my way of giving back to my community and district at large. Yeah.
Mr. Guy, I want you to take us back to little Akil growing up in, you know, your constituency. What was that for you? Like, what was life for little Akil Guy?
I grew up very humble, you know, just like every other person within our community, be it in my standpoint at times. You know, grew up in a household of 6 persons. I had 4 siblings, because my elder brother would have left. Went to Bethesda Government Primary School, graduated from there to Bishop's High School with a scholarship, of course, and then transferred onto, well, not transferred, but did my A-levels at Signal Secondary School. You know, going to Signal Secondary School was because of my aspirations to be football, and I would have been part of the national intercall team in 2010 when we won against Naparima in 2-1. Which is a historical moment to Tobago at this point in time. So that is generally Akil Guy to speak about. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm so happy to get some insight into who you are, Mr. Guy. And is this your first rodeo into politics? And if it is, How has the reception from the public been?
Definitely, this is my first rodeo into politics. I had never had any aspiration of being a politician, so to speak. But, you know, I allow God to guide me into whatever direction he thinks is necessary for me to contribute into society. And the reception is evident, you know. Person have been receiving me well. I've been listening to person. I've been on the ground for the last 6 months, talking and interacting with most persons, not trying to be all about a party, but about issues and having real conversations with persons. So that would have worked well with me thus far.
Okay, Mr. Guy, and you know, growing up in this particular constituency, you know, you intimately understand some of the problems that residents face. Now, I want you to walk us through that. What are some of the problems that, you know, the constituents are facing right now in this area? And, you know, if you are to be voted in, what are some of the plans you like to implement to address those problems?
That's a great question. You know, while walking, the echoes are loud. A lot of the young persons are being unemployed. And you see where there's a breakdown in the society through the unemployment, where young persons now, you know, are forced into different aspects of life. So to speak, our communities at large are now, you know, branded as a negative society at large. So I think that is evident. And some of the things that we need to do is to find ways how to alleviate that, you know, for not only dealing with the effect, but also with the cause of these situations, which start with unemployment, which start with education, which start with lack of opportunities, in through sports, through education facilities. Yeah, so those are the things that I think are major problems in our society, where as a human factor, then there's infrastructural problems, where our roads are very dilapidated. And I think maintenance has been a big problem within our society, where I'm a person who's a sports advocate, and I haven't seen our community football-based team play that football game for the last 5 years. I mean, there's COVID and these things that happen, but those are things that our communities were thriving on. You know, our community wasn't based just on education, success. It was based on a lot of different successes in our communities. And to see these things falling down, we see our breakdown in our society. So these are things that I focusing on. Things that I have planned for this society, for our community, for sure, along these lines, where it might have a reintegration into society for a young person who might have gotten into trouble, having different things put in place for them to be reintegrated. Also, there is care for elderly. There's a care that I'm going to launch very soon, where sick persons over 60 years old will have free healthcare checkup into Halifax appointments clinic. Also, there's a scholarship program that we want to launch also, that already had taken pathway in some of the schools in our communities, that we also want to expand it into throughout the district, right? Also fostering private-public partnership with businesses, growing capacities, so we could help alleviate some of the unemployment issues and not only depend on the government for jobs.
Okay. You sound like you have a lot of policies and plans in place, Mr. Guy. So what I want to find out, persons might be looking at this interview and looking at you for the first time. So why should voters choose you to represent the Bethesda Lake 2 seat?
I think, you know, first thing first, we need to understand where we are as a people. You know, rightfully assess the incumbent person, ask yourself, have you been impacted within this space? And then we decide to move forward. Right, and if it is that your assessment, does it pass or fail? Now you take me into consideration of being a next leader within a space. Our plans, you know, aligning with your goals. Or do you think that I'm the person to, you know, for a person just to critically think about the decisions rather than just making a decision based on the party or this stuff? You know, I will love that for my community to show that our movement are forward-thinking people. Yeah. And we could take our community at large, working together and collaborating to make our communities better. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Guy, and being a young candidate, a first-time candidate, how has that experience really been for you personally and your family? Because politics is no easy thing, eh? It's not just you; it's your entire family will be launched into the limelight. You have to face attacks from people who may not, share your same political ideology. It's tiring. It can be tiring. It can be scary. But how has that experience been for you personally?
Definitely, it's a new experience. And while it being a new experience, I've taken everything with a pinch of salt moving forward. I definitely, as I say, I had no aspirations of being this or working in this realm, but contributing to the community at large. It give you a set of encouragement, and the more persons you speak to and the more persons you inspire, that also encourages me. Putting myself out in the front line, because as I said, I was a reserved person. I'm an outgoing person, but a very reserved person, a person very private, but at the same time, open to speaking and motivating persons and giving back to our communities. My family I think I have a very close-knit family. They are very supportive of any decision that I decide to make, and the fact that I'm doing it because I want to contribute and not for any other agenda, I think they are fully in support of it.
Okay. Yeah. And you mentioned that you were a reserved person. So how has that transition been for you from being reserved to now being in the limelight?
Though being reserved, I have always been in the limelight through football. As I said, I was a national intercall winner. So growing up in school, it has always been in the limelight somewhat. So the change is that, I remain steadfast in the goal ahead. The goal is not about me, it's not about my personality or who I am as a person, but what is actually ahead of us, what is pervading our society in terms of chaos or lack of opportunities, or we see the downward trajectory of our communities. And that is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's not about me anymore and how I am as a person, yeah.
Okay, and I love how you touched on that point, because I think, especially where some candidates are concerned, people have this ideology that in order to be a politician or a political candidate, you must be extroverted and talkative and outgoing. But there are the personalities such as yourself who are reserved, who are quiet, and they are effective leaders. But wrapping up, what is one thing or two things or three or any amount of things you would like to leave with our viewers here this morning, just to motivate them why Akil Guy is the ideal choice for this particular constituency?
Me being the right choice all boils down to each individual making a critical decision of, as I mentioned before, where we are as a people. Ask each one, how have you been affected or impacted within the last 4 years? Have your life changed? Do you feel confident moving forward in your life with this government or our next government, or this representative or this representative? And I think persons now getting to know me throughout the other districts, other communities, but my community is someone who could attest to, I am being a person always respectful, always around and present for service, and I pledge that definitely I'll be present, and I'm working collaboratively with the community at large, the different pillars within our society, to ensure the movement of our society move forward. Because for our economy to grow, we definitely have to work together and build private-public partnerships for us to grow. We cannot continue to depend just on the public sector. And if it is that Golden Lane, like it's Bethesda, serious about change, then that's the way we have to think in championing this change for Tobago. Yeah.
So, Mr. Guy, I'm going to take you into the future a bit. Let's say that you are the elected representative on January 12th. What is the very first initiative or project you will do in your district?
That's a great question. The first thing that I would try to ensure take course, because there are some things that are already being done even out of service, which things like the healthcare program that I already starting to launch. Now you will see very soon. There's the scholarship program that we already launched as well. One of the projects that I would like to see, where it comes to the human factor, it is to create a skill banks for our society. So we know we don't want a overcrowding of somebody in one area and to guide youth into different fields, because that's something that I struggle with as a young person of what do I want to study, what field do I want to go in.
Right.
So to be able to provide art assistance will be one of the first things that I will launch as a human factor, and as a infrastructural factor. Definitely, I think there's a facility needed in the community of Golden Lane.
Right.
And that's something that I would look at first. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Guy, now I want to just thank you for joining us this morning on the Tobago Updates Youth Morning Show. Like Drisha and I said earlier, it's always a pleasure to see young people in the politics and offering themselves. We need to see more of that on the island, Drisha. We need it. We need it. We need it. So, Mr. Guy, we wish you all the best. All the best next week, Monday. Viewers, we'll be right back. We'll be taking a short break. Just remember to what, Drisha? Share the live. Share the live. Share the live. We'll be right back.
Who said the elderly can't have fun too? We're talking good food, proper music, lots of games, and a day at the beach they will never forget. From the time we left the compound at Heavenly Care Home for the Elderly, the vibe was already established. Wheels up and seatbelts on. Watch now, when we touched down in Pigeon Point, everybody was ready for excitement. But before anything could take place, we had to secure bellies. You ever play bingo by the beachside? Well, that was the first activity on the roster, and boy did these seniors have fun. However, others wanted something more physical, so we brought out the ring toss, and not even arthritis could have stopped them. Well, I was blown away at how straight these people were. Are you sure this is a home for the elderly? Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday, but nothing beats the song of Good Steel Pan by the shores while we take a dip in Tobago's finest water. Wait, more food again? This is my type of event. The energy was amazing and nothing short of a blessing. Pick up Heavenly Care Home for the Elderly, because joy doesn't retire, laughter doesn't age, and memories like these last forever.
To a stranger.
Tobago, the sun is rising, and so are the conversations that matter, from the economy to education, from healthcare to community voices. No spin, no fluff, just facts, truth, and clarity. Join me, Lavian, as we cover the issues that shape our lives, the stories we can't ignore. We bring them to the table and ask the questions you want answered.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. Rooted in connection, driven by community. It's who we are at the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Springs. Contact 49SWIFT 4979438.
Coconuts Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. It's who we are and the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. We're deepening our commitment to the region, continuing to invest in the networks, services, and digital solutions that move Caribbean businesses forward. Whether you are a mid-sized business or multinational player, we bring you resilient connectivity, personalized service, and tailored IT solutions, all powered by local teams that truly have your back. We're here to help you navigate challenges, grow, and achieve your goals with practical solutions, reliable networks, and a partnership rooted in trust and your long-term success. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships. It's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Hair goals, we've got them. At S&R Hair Fantasy, we provide a wide variety of quality hair, the latest hair accessories, adult toys, skin lightening products, female underwear, and much more under one roof. Check us out on Shelbourne Street in Plymouth or call us at 317-0808. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. S&R Hair Fantasy, for queens who know exactly what they want.
place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to Youth Wednesdays on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. And for those of you who are just rejoining us, I want to wish you a happy new year. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning. It's been a while, right? And, I just want to wish all ardent viewers a happy new year and all the best for 2026. This morning, we want to continue the discussion surrounding politics. And this morning, we have the political leader of the IDA, Miss Dr. Denise Soyford Angus, who will be coming to discuss with us her plans, her projections, and everything about her party contesting the 2026 teacher elections. A pleasant good morning to you, Dr. Angus, Soyford Angus.
Link.
Pleasant good morning to you.
Take off. Hello?
Okay, Dwayne, it seems that we're having some technical difficulties, but this interview is going to be a very interesting one because it speaks to the power of third parties in, the two-party system we have in Trinidad and Tobago.
But why would you call it a third party? It's a party contesting.
I'm just going by the numbers. I'm influenced by the numbers from the last elections that the party would have contested and the years before that, and we would have noticed that the People's National Movement and the Tobago People's Party, they would have amassed most of the Tobagonian votes, and it's interesting to see now, especially whether or not the IDA was able to mobilize those people who may be apolitical, who may be on the fence, who probably fed up with both parties and looking for a new. So it's really interesting to see the numbers on Monday. What are your thoughts to it?
Well, I have plenty of thoughts and plenty of questions to ask Dr. Angus, especially where one of our renowned supporters, I think he was a member of the party, and I saw him appear on a political platform. One of my questions to her would be, how does she feel about that? And does she take any umbrage that at all? And I want to hear some of the plans and the projections, especially as to why, even after, as you would say, the numbers speak for themselves. What is the motivation to continue to contest these elections, as that face the country and the island of Tobago?
Okay, and it's good to observe, these parties doing, because it proves to us that democracy is alive and one. Yes. But the only problem I have with most of these parties or parties who are not in power is whether or not they have a true appreciation for opposition politics. Yeah. I think people just think the politics, they like to focus on the getting the power. Yes, but the question now comes, what do you do when you are not in power? What are your strategies and your plans to sensitize the people that you are trying to, garner their votes? And I always have an appreciation for opposition politics. I just have an appreciation for the underdogs and the people who don't have the power and how they can get the power. So I'm really interested to see whether or not, one, the People's National Movement would have satisfied that. Two, whether the IDA was able to, keep that increase going. So I think the elections on Monday, it's going to be very interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
Democracy is all about accountability, and you're right. It as much appreciation should also be given to the opposition, because you help keep the sitting party or the sitting administration of the day accountable, and that is the epicenter of what democracy is supposed to be. And the truth is, they too will be judged, the opposition, whether they be official opposition or not. They too will be judged on the election day as to how they helped keep the island sitting representatives accountable.
All right, Dwayne, as we continue these very excellent conversations, viewers, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back to continue our conversations, all our political conversations. Just remember to share the live,
share the live, share the live.
The following is a paid political advertisement.
Tobago, stand up and be counted. Join the TPP family on Wednesday, January 7th for 2 powerful public meetings. Come out at AMPLIA and Glen Road Junction at 6 p.m. Come here, the best candidate for Darrell Spring Wim, Ricky Joe Field, shaped and grounded by community and family values. A vision-driven leader, ready to serve and transform the district. Then we journey to Bethel together at Egypt Junction, Bethel at 8 p.m. Come here, the best candidate for Bethel New Grange, Darren Henry, a service-driven leader who is ready to serve the community. 1 night, 2 meetings. Come out in your numbers on Wednesday, January 7th, 6 p.m. at AMPLIA and Glen Road Junction, Glen Road, and Egypt Junction, Bethel from 8 p.m. Tobago is we. Tobago deserves excellence. On January 12th, 2026, vote for bold leadership. Vote for the anchor. Vote for the Tobago People's Party.
We vote in TPP, Tobago People's Party. Now the anchor holds.
That was a paid political advertisement.
To vote is simple. The Elections and Boundaries Commission advises that before Election Day, you should receive your poll card in the mail. Open it to find the address of your polling station. Keep the poll card safe and take it with you on Election Day. If you did not receive your poll card in the mail, you can still vote. A poll card will be prepared for you at your polling station. You can also visit the EBC's website at www.ebctt.com or call the hotline at 785-8206 or 785-8211 to find your polling station. On Election Day, you should check the list posted outside your polling station for your name and number. Where there are several polling stations on the same compound, an information officer will direct you to your polling station. Polling agents who act on behalf of candidates are there to witness the process. If your name is on the list of electors and you have a valid ID card, you join the green line. All other persons, including physically incapacitated, blind or visually impaired persons, should join the red line. You are required to sign your poll card in front of the poll clerk. The deputy presiding officer examines your hands and fingers. If there is no evidence of electoral ink stains, you're issued a ballot paper. The deputy presiding officer also demonstrates how to mark and fold a ballot paper using the guidance ballot and how to vote with the X stamp. The ballot paper is folded to display the initials of the deputy presiding officer and the polling station number. A blind, visually impaired or physically incapacitated person is allowed to vote with the assistance of a companion. In the privacy of the voting booth, you vote by placing an X at the right of your candidate's symbol. If you make a mark other than an X, your ballot will be rejected and not counted. Fold your ballot paper as you were previously shown by the deputy presiding officer and proceed to the officer in charge of the ballot box. Display your folded ballot paper with the initials of the deputy presiding officer and polling station number. You will then be required to dip your finger in the electoral ink before you are allowed to place your ballot paper in the ballot box. If you refuse to dip your finger in the electoral ink, you will not be allowed to vote. When you've finished with this process, wipe off the excess ink. Any problem you encounter in the polling station should be brought to the attention of the presiding officer. To vote is your right. exercise it. A message from the Elections and Boundaries Commission, your partners in democracy.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back. And we do apologize for the technical difficulties. Dr. Denise Soifat-Angus will join us on another morning show. Now, guys, it's politics. Like I said, it's just politics season. Right now, everything is just about politics. That's all anyone is focused on. And, you know, as we prepare for Monday, the critical question is, one, will the people of Tobagonians renew the TPP's political contract for 4 more years? Or will January 12th be the day that the PNM, you know, regains ground on the island of Tobago? We don't know how it's gonna go. Like I was telling a friend last night, Tobago politics is very unpredictable because Tobagonians are very silent voters. No matter how dissatisfied they are, you come in there, they will smile and wave and be like, yeah, we're supporting you, and do the opposite of that. What are your thoughts?
You know, you are right, but the good thing about what I'm observing, though, is you know, how much more people are brave to show their support. I think over the years, the politics has evolved. And that's something I'm really proud of. It shows that democracy is still alive. You know, and I'm seeing less of the public banter or the derogatory statements made on platforms. You know, you're hearing more policy-oriented discussions. You know, and that is what people need to hear, and it shows that, you know, the people it would foster thinking as to, I wonder if this policy is better. I wonder if how would this affect me, right? And that is what you want in a society. It shows a lot of political growth and political will.
And I endorse what Dwayne said in that I'm seeing a lot more people being involved in the politics, and not just people, but young people as well. And I'm wondering if that is motivated by the youth candidates, because of course, when you look at all political parties, you see a balance with experience and youth candidates. What do you all think?
I think on that prong, Jisha, especially where youth candidates and the youth voters are concerned, if we look at historical Tobago, people like to grow up in this household where, okay, mommy and daddy supported this party, grandfather and grandmother supported this party, you have to support that party. But now when we analyze some of our households, we are seeing that at minimum, okay, the parents may be supporting one party, but the young people, they might choose to make a decision of their own. Because you know, as the youth, when we are informed and we know what goes on the island, it really shifts our perspectives. And you know, sometimes also as young people, we are rebellious at heart. So you know, just because mommy or daddy supports this party doesn't mean I want to support this party. Doesn't mean this party's policies or ideologies are align with what I want to see as a young person. So I think all of that adds to the unpredictability of you know, the Tobago politics and the results that we usually see, because at the end of the day, the youth vote is a very powerful vote. It's taken us a while to realize that. Some of us do realize that. Some of us, you know, we still like the politics for the motorcade and the lime and the party, but we are getting informed. And as each election comes on the island, we are seeing that and we are hearing that, and we appreciate that. So that's just my opinion on, you know, the youth candidates and the youth votes.
And just to add, though, you know, gone are the days where people could say Tobagonians and smart and then are reading, you know, everything is right at the tip of our fingers. Whatever is said on any platform can be fact checked. You know, and there's very little headroom to use propaganda that might somewhat be deemed as untruth. And you know, I think, and I have a very much appreciation for what the technology also does for spreading of political ideologies, etc., etc., etc. And I appreciate that very much, especially for young people.
Correct. Speaking of young people, I don't know how true it is, but a little birdie told me that tomorrow, don't know how true, we may be having a panel of young people who represent, different perspectives of the politics to just chat with us and let us know, their thoughts and opinions about the political climate on the island. I don't know how true. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm hoping management can give us some sort of confirmation, but it would be a very I want to find the correct adjective for the conversation, needed conversation, because I think we were able to hear the perspectives separated, but to have that ability where everyone comes and sit down together and share their views respectfully, and to share that youth perspective, it's something I look forward to, and it's something I hope is executed tomorrow.
And that would be great. That would be great just to see, where the young people are thinking, where their mind is at, because the future are the young people. The future are us, right? So and trust me, the future is not even years from now. It's the next minute. Right. So I look forward to hearing and seeing those discussions.
But, I want to correct something that you said, Dwayne. You said that we are the future, but we are the now. I wouldn't say that we are the future. We are the now.
Well, true.
Correct.
I hope to live long before now, so I want to be the future as well. So but yes, we are now and tomorrow.
Correct.
So I agree with that.
All right, viewers, so enough of us yapping now. It's time for us to, wrap up this morning's show.
Before you do that,
yes,
I ain't seen you in a long time.
That's correct.
Right? And I want to know if we're due for Christmas. You too, I want to know where you're due for Christmas. How you spending Christmas and your New Year's?
Well, you are correct. I haven't been on the island for over 6 months because school was schooling, and then there are competitions to prepare for, and you know how demanding law can be. So I returned
and competitive you can be as well.
What?
Go ahead.
I'm not that type of person, Dwayne. Yes, I am very competitive when I'm ready. But returning home December and being home with my family, being home with my mom, because I'm her only child, so I know she was a bit worried that she wasn't able to see me for a while. But Christmas was quiet, it was relaxing. For those of us that live on UE dorms, when you go home and you could finally spread out on that queen-size bed, it's very relaxing. So I have been prioritizing rest, because if anybody knows me, they know that I'm a very ambitious and hardworking person, and sometimes I overlook rest. So from now until the semester restarts, I'm just prioritizing rest.
That's important.
What about you, Jisha? What did you do for the Christmas?
Well, unfortunately, I had a death in my family very close to Christmas. So Christmas was not the same for me this year. But I'm still thankful for life.
Condolences to you.
Thank you. I'm taking every day in stride.
Well, we could see that. Here this morning, all smiles. But it's really sad to hear that, and you're a strong soul, man. It's great to be standing up here smiling and bringing all the residual Christmas cheer.
How did you spend your Christmas?
Me, I spent my Christmas working. I was sick after Christmas for a couple of days. But to see what I got drunk talk with me, so I doesn't stay down for long.
Yes.
But I didn't get to eat enough black cake. That is my.
I'm not a black cake fan.
What?
I'm not a black cake.
We gotta talk after. But it's a pleasure to be here. And Happy New Year to you both.
Same to you.
All right, viewers, so that was the Youth Morning Show here on Tobago Updates. I just want to thank you for choosing Tobago Updates to start your morning on the right note. Guys, all we have to tell them to do is what?
Share the live, share the live, share the live.
this year's summit, it takes a slight different approach compared to last year. Based on the persons who had came, the students who had came, we felt that we should have a section focused for the students, because that is where the agri-technology would start from, where the innovators are. So this year we take our focus on the students, as well as we incorporated different persons within the country of Trinidad and Tobago, and we got exhibitors from right here on this island who are invested in innovation and agriculture and technology.
Produce Tobago is an online multi-vendor marketplace website which facilitates buying and selling along the agricultural value chain. So if you are selling agricultural inputs like fertilizer or seedlings, you can sell on the website. If you're an agro-processor, you could also sell your pepper sauces, your nuts, that sort of stuff on the website. Even if you provide agricultural services, as it says, it's agricultural technology, and I think that this is innovative in and of itself to bridge gaps in the agricultural landscape. So I felt like it was important to bring it to the people of Tobago.
I help companies, farmers, food processors, anywhere along the value chain, build and implement their food safety and quality management systems, as well as an educator, because that's where it starts. I think that it is important because it helps you not only be current and up to date, but with so many changes happening in the climate, it's important to leverage technology so that you don't be at a loss. Why not use the technology that we have available to us? Don't be afraid of it, to empower your operations so that you can be more efficient, effective, and profitable in the long run.
Well, I'm here at the summit today to learn more about agriculture and to know how far agriculture can get. So normally I might think, well, agriculture is hard work, you had to labor, but coming to the summit teach me that how agriculture is getting easier.
It's indeed a pleasure to be here today at the summit. On one hand, we're here to learn and grow as well, because with education, it's a thing that you keep learning as you go on. At the same time, we're also here to provide information on the impacts of forestry and the relevant information to stakeholders who will be here today.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
World AIDS Day has been recognized since 1988, and over the years it has grown into a meaningful global tradition. It brings together governments, health workers, advocates, families, youths, everyone, because the fight against HIV is something we all share responsibility for.
So, World AIDS Day is important because we need to continually remember that we are still dealing with HIV and AIDS in Trinidad and specifically in Tobago. This is an opportunity for us to continue the discussion. This is an opportunity to remind the population that, we have these STIs that are running around. If we are not safe, we will not be healthy. So I appreciate this opportunity, and I particularly appreciate the fact that we are focusing on the young people for this World AIDS Day, because that is what is really needed to change the culture that's required.
My experience was eccentric to say the very least. Our teacher, she worked wonderfully, even with disruptions to the class. She worked with them instead of circling around them or going over them. She made them part of the lesson and made the learning experience beautiful. I hope that it serves to actually better educate the people, to get rid of the old people stigma that we got from our parents, grandparents, and thus forth. I hope that we can live a truer life with this knowledge and use this as a template to go forward for other problems that we may have.
I am white and I represent Hope. Hope says your diagnosis is not your destiny, and today we stand on that truth, and we aim to change at least one mindset every time we speak.
Empathy reminds us they are living with HIV, not dying from it.
Oh, boy, see master. I'm going, boy. But when me know Asian like everybody there, dog, and you don't transfer it to me.
So tell me, where you really learn this ignorance to go and tell him? You cannot give someone HIV by just touching them. So your friend running off and talking about that is not true.
What we were trying to discuss was the dissatisfaction with moral ed in the high schools, because we feel like they're not teaching enough, especially when it comes to preventing stigma against certain groups of people.
Peer training programs are programs that have always worked because you need people who are similar to design what the message should be and to share those messages to their counterparts. And that is in essence what...
Tobago updates. Good morning,
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong. And the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we're stronger. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. And guys, you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting topics and conversations, let's have our news in 90 seconds. Some 40 Tobagonians received a combined $600,000 in grants from the National Commission of Self-Help during a presentation ceremony held on Monday, January 5th at the Hampdens Lowlands Multipurpose Center. The ceremony was attended by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine, who joined the beneficiaries in making the milestone towards increased independence and economic opportunities. The grant formed part of the Commission's ongoing program aimed at supporting micro and macro infrastructural projects, empowering individuals, strengthening communities, and promoting greater self-reliance and sustainability across Tobago. Additionally, the Inter-Island Ferry APT James is now scheduled to return to service on January 9, 2026, 6 days later than the previously announced January 3rd date. The vessel was taken out of service on November 20th, 2025 for its mandatory 5-year dry docking and special survey, which has been successfully completed. NEDCO confirmed all fees and post-docking procedures are complete. Minister of Works and Infrastructure Jerlene John said the ferry's return is key to maintaining the safety and reliability of the Inter-Island Sea Bridge, while NIDCO thanks the public for its patience. And finally, a coconut vendor in Trinidad has garnered much public attention after he was ticketed with over $19,000 worth of traffic fines by the TTPS, following the major increase on Christmas Day. Speaking to media personnel, Ravi Bablolal said it was impossible for him to pay the fines within the month and fears he may have no choice but to sell his van, which he relies on for the transportation of his coconut business. And that was our news in 90 seconds. Guys, you know, we have been here and we've been chatting with a number of the candidates leading up to the 2026 Tobago House of Assembly elections. Now, we've spoken to a number of persons from the Tobago People's Party, and this morning I have the privilege and the opportunity to speak to one of the People's National Movement candidates, but not just any candidate, a candidate that is very familiar to you here in Tobago, known for her work specifically in sport and youth development. She is no stranger to you. She has played on the national football team for Trinidad and Tobago. She is a young woman as well as a published author. I remember having several conversations with her here on Tobago Updates about her book, about her journey and her life. And this morning, I have the privilege of chatting with Miss Karen Forbes, who's a PNM candidate for Plymouth Blackrock. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Chanel. Thanks for having me.
You see, I don't want to say Mrs. and then I block your blessings on TV this morning, right?
I know.
You never know who is watching.
I know, right?
Right. You know, we've had several conversations here, and a lot of times we're talking about Kick It with Karen and just your work in the community and getting your community engaged. But we didn't see this one coming. We didn't see Karen putting down the football and taking it to a place of representation and being in public, in politics. Tell us about what would have prompted that transition.
So, Chanel, I have a strong desire to serve, right? And, you know, sometimes when we finish playing and acquire all this knowledge from abroad, there's nowhere to channel it. So I found a way to channel it. And I have said to the Lord, listen, anything that I do going forward, I love business, I love football, and that's a given. But anything that I do in the future, it must be service to people. And, you know, I got this opportunity. I was approached 2 years ago, and I've been thinking about it from since then till now. And I was going back and forth with, you know, football and this opportunity. And I realized as I move out of looking at one stage of my life to another stage, this is my opportunity to be able to serve my community beyond Kick It with Karen. It's just a scratch of the surface of what I can do. And because of that desire to serve people, I think politics is the right place for me to be.
Right. And even within politics, what are some of the key policy areas that you think you can make the best type of change to?
One of the things that I have noticed, for example, right, I work in Trinidad with Sports DT, and just having to, you know, put my skills in Trinidad opposed to being here, you know, developing Tobago, that's one of the things that I want to be able to implement a policy for. And I say that in regards to look at persons like Rennie Kwao, Simoy Hackett, they have to reside, Lalong Gordon, have to go back abroad, you know, and those are gems that has, you know, done well in the space of sports and now have to now go back abroad. And we know as persons who have all this wealth of knowledge and so forth, not having the opportunity to come back to our same island, a place that we're born and raised, you know, not to instill that opportunities throughout the diaspora of Tobago. And I think this is one of the policies that I want to implement, that persons who would have served nationally, internationally, to be able to come back into the sphere of Tobago and be able to help, you know, develop Tobago in that regard.
What does that look like? What does their contribution when they actually come back look like? And I like the idea of creating a platform for persons who have served abroad to come back home and serve, because I know a lot of the time their heart's desire is to come home, but the opportunities are not there. So when you think about them being integrated into the system as it pertains to sport, what does that look like?
So definitely that will be on a case of certification, right? Creating programs that they themselves can spearhead, right? And I say that because when you look at Simoy Hackett, she is, just for example, she is 100 and 200, you know, in that particular area. And then Rennie Kwao is 400. So now we could create...
In terms of track and field.
In terms of track and field. And then for myself is football, Kimika Forbes football. And then we have other persons that could come in and do programs. So certification, creating programs, helping them to share their knowledge in terms of mentorship, empowerment program, what they would have done to get to where they are. And I think that is really imperative, you know, for the success of our youth, and also in terms of coaching as well, because I, you know, converse with a couple of them, and And Renico in particular, he would have mentioned to me that, he's now doing his a program in nutrition and other things. So these are the people that we need here because they already have the passion, right? And to implement them into the system and help build programs and structures that are going to help move Tobago athletes forward. You're talking about 60,000 persons. I have been in Iceland that it has 500,000 people, and I see they make it work. So when I see 60,000, I am seeing that we can make it work too.
I like that. When you talk about the experiences that you have from abroad, I am a believer that persons who go abroad and come back are a little special, maybe because I fit into that category as well, right?
Yeah.
Because we have the perspective of being able to see the things that work outside and implement them here in Tobago. What are some of the things, during your travels, during, playing abroad that you've seen and you're like, man, I really wish Tobago had this, or we could have been doing something like this, or being more progressive in this area?
Yeah, I definitely think grassroots. I think grassroots is something that we neglect a lot, and we need to ensure that we start from a youth level. That is the only way we could build a structure going forward, right? So since my specialty is football, I know exactly what we need. And I feel like when it comes to athletes, we only think about the physical part of their lives, but there's a psychological part of their lives as well. So the holistic development of the athlete, this is something that I would like to implement in the future, because we cannot only think about their physical aspect. We have to also think about their literacy. We have to think about branding. So there's a wide spectrum of the athlete that needs to be developed, because some of these athletes come from homes that with a lot of traumatic situations. And we need to ensure that they are ready, mentally to be able to take on certain folds and stay connected to them, that, they can be successful in the future.
Understood. What do you say to the people within your community who say, well, Karen is no longer in Plymouth. Karen is not connected to the people. She comes, she does her football tournament once a year. But the real connector is Kimika. Right. Kimika is the girl on the ground in the community. How do you respond to that?
I would disagree with that. Because I think I have been in the community. I have been looking on. As I said, I was approached 2 years ago, right? And I have been just walking around looking at everything that has been happening, but without anybody knowing, to see whether or not, I want to go forward to this. And I'm saying to you that I'm very sure, right? I am connected to my people, right? At the end of the day, I put forth myself for service for 10 years for Kick It with Karen. And that is not even what I would like to do. Because of my role on the national team, I have been back and forth, right? And it takes me at least 6 months to prepare Kick It with Karen. I get on the ground this month, which is January. I will be already on the ground moving, ensuring that this tournament happen in the space of Plymouth in particular, because, Plymouth, people look at Plymouth as a negative place, or Plymouth Blackrock and environs as a negative place. And that is one of the things that I would like to help change, because there are so many athletes, there are so many persons, there are so many good things that came out of Plymouth Blackrock and environs. And we need to ensure that, we have to highlight more of those positive things. And I am definitely is the best choice for that, to do that.
All right. You indicated that you have been looking on for some time. Looking on from the background silently, what have you seen happening within your community that had you been in that position of leadership, you would have changed significantly?
So I would say that I'm really focused on what I would like to do going forward. But being in the background looking on, I think there's a lot of activities that could happen within the space of Plymouth. Plymouth is a fishing village, Blackrock is a fishing village, and thereon the other areas have their speciality to that too as well. And I'm saying that because we have to study the areas. There's at least 8 areas in this electoral district, right? And what you could do in Plymouth and Blackrock is not wise to do in the other areas, right? So in particular, Plymouth, unemployment is one of the things that I know plague, not only in Plymouth, but throughout Tobago, right? And, being able to help create programs where vocational training is concerned and other empowerment mentorship programs, also after school classes, and especially in the area of mathematics and English, creating Polish U Club. So the Polish U Club is one of the things that I would like to implement throughout each area.
Okay, so does
Right.
Plymouth currently have a Plymouth
They
Police
do have a Polish U Club up and running.
All right. I just want to say that I know that the Division of Education has a community impact program, which seems to fit into the idea that you have of the after school training and in mathematics, but they are doing, I believe it's CXC, English and maths, numeracy and literacy. Do you see the need to continue things that are working, that do align with some of the ideas that you have, or do you feel like what you have conceptualized is totally different and you want to bring about something completely new?
Well, at the end of the day, the Division of Education has they have to do what they have to do, but I also have to do what I have to do, because there are certain persons that may not be met, and we have to ensure that even if they are not met, we have to look throughout our communities, right, and to ensure that everybody is being met. Right, so the ones that are, because I know of some persons within the village that may need that assistance, so we will just work with the persons that actually not in those programs.
If your party is successful, what area do you think you would be of greatest value?
Definitely sports and community development.
Understood.
Yeah.
What if you were to tell young people or a young woman in Plymouth looking on at this interview this morning and wondering, well, how come Karen making a transition from football into politics?
Yeah.
And, she's probably into fashion or into beauty or whatever area it is, and sitting there and wondering how to make such big transitions. What would you advise, or what would you say to that young woman looking on?
Me being a youth stepping forward now, persons would have said that we are the future, we are the pioneers, we are the movers and shakers of the next generation. And me stepping forward is also to give hope to some of the other youths to see that if I can do it, you can too, right? I have been a testament to many young persons, not only in Tobago, but in Trinidad. Anywhere I go, I try to be a great influence to people, and I have been doing that, so I'm now using this opportunity to go ahead and further impact not only Plymouth, Blackrock and environs, but throughout Tobago. I'm very bold about this. Why? Because I have a strong desire to serve. I've been serving for the last 10 years, so I know that I can be trusted where representation is concerned. But outside of that, I think we need to now raise the level of our THA election, and if by me being in it is raising the level, then that is exactly what we want, because I have been serving, and we need to challenge persons. It doesn't matter the party. We need to challenge persons that they must serve before, have a track record of service. So in that way, they themselves, it's easy for villages to be able to accept you because of what you have done. And I think by me putting myself forward, it's not about me, right? It's not about me. It is about people. It is about serving people. It's about what you have been hearing on the ground, the elephant in the room, representation, being able to serve people wholeheartedly, understanding the struggles. There are so many persons who would have fell in my arms and they're crying, because there is a need for representation, and that is exactly what I'm willing to do.
Excellent. Do you think that by participating in politics on this level that you're somewhat breaking some generational curses?
Definitely, definitely. You have to be the change you wish to see. And by me stepping forward, I know that, a lot of persons may agree, some may not agree, but there's a greater significance in serving people, in also helping other persons, youths, because, for example, I have been working only a year with Sports CT. And before that, 33 years of my life, I have been an entrepreneur. I never sat down. I never wait, for nothing. And I want to be able to inspire other persons that in spite of what, right, you need to get up and go, right? Nothing is given in this life. And I'm putting myself forward because I have a strong desire to serve, and I'm going to try my best to serve my people and develop Plymouth, Blackrock and environs given the opportunity.
Excellent. If you had to say something to your constituency this morning, persons within Blackrock, Plymouth, leading up to the elections on Monday, what would you say to them?
I would say to them that I am the best choice. I have to have confidence within myself. I have confidence in the service that I've been doing for the last 10 years with Kick It with Karen. But outside of that, I've been serving, being a mentor to many young persons, right? Not only nationally, but throughout my community and throughout Tobago. I always have something that I like. I have a gift of influence, and I am going to influence as much person. So I am saying that I am the best choice, and I will continue to advocate that I am the best choice for the seat.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Representing your district in the upcoming election on January 12th, and that is the area of Plymouth Blackrock. We have Miss Karen Forbes, who would be transitioning possibly from football to politics if given the opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back with much more after this. See you soon.
Wake up and hear my neighbor, 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
To vote is simple. The Elections and Boundaries Commission advises that before Election Day, you should receive your poll card in the mail. Open it to find the address of your polling station. Keep the poll card safe and take it with you on Election Day. If you did not receive your poll card in the mail, you can still vote. A poll card will be prepared for you at your polling station. You can also visit the EBC's website at www.ebctt.com or call the hotline at 785-8206 or 785-8211 to find your polling station. On Election Day, you should check the list posted outside your polling station for your name and number. Where there are several polling stations on the same compound, an information officer will direct you to your polling station. Polling agents who act on behalf of candidates are there to witness the process. If your name is on the list of electors and you have a valid ID card, you join the green line. All other persons, including physically incapacitated, blind or visually impaired persons, should join the red line. You are required to sign your poll card in front of the poll clerk. The deputy presiding officer examines your hands and fingers. If there is no evidence of electoral ink stains, you're issued a ballot paper. The deputy presiding officer also demonstrates how to mark and fold a ballot paper using the guidance ballot and how to vote with the X stamp. The ballot paper is folded to display the initials of the deputy presiding officer and the polling station number. A blind, visually impaired or physically incapacitated person is allowed to vote with the assistance of a companion. In the privacy of the voting booth, you vote by placing an X at the right of your candidate's symbol. If you make a mark other than an X, your ballot will be rejected and not counted. Fold your ballot paper as you were previously shown by the deputy presiding officer and proceed to the officer in charge of the ballot box. Display your folded ballot paper with the initials of the deputy presiding officer and polling station number. You will then be required to dip your finger in the electoral ink before you are allowed to place your ballot paper in the ballot box. If you refuse to dip your finger in the electoral ink, you will not be allowed to vote. When you've finished with this process, wipe off the excess ink. Any problem you encounter in the polling station should be brought to the attention of the presiding officer. To vote is your right. Exercise it. A message from the Elections and Boundaries Commission, your partners in democracy.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Springs. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
No Keegan as a child. So his political pampers was worn under my watch. So he was very near and dear to me. From that day to now, he will call Auntie Cathy. He wouldn't forget my birthday, he wouldn't forget my Mother's Day, he wouldn't forget anything. He came to me. He said, Auntie Cathy, I have a tough decision to make. I said, listen to me. I strongly believe that you were to give me the opportunity to represent this constituency because you are intelligent, you are humble, you have all the qualities that will be a good representative. I am with you 100%. And if anyone tells you not to go, I will be with you. I will encourage you all the way. Because here what is happening, you are not talking about party. You are talking about the development of Tobago and the youth. So forget about party politics and think about the development of Tobago and what you can do to make Tobago a better place. I say, and remember, these days are very sick. I can't walk properly, but I'm all the way with you. 99.9%. I am with you. That young man will be the best representative we will have in this constituency.
Your love is my strength.
That video, you already know who we're talking to next. This morning we are talking to the TPP candidate for Buku Mount Pleasant, Mr. Keegan Denoon. Good morning, Keegan, and welcome.
Good morning, Ms. Felix. Good morning, Tobago. A special good morning to the electoral district of Buku, Keenan, Mount Pleasant.
Minister, this morning we're going to get into some conversation about your transition into active politics. Now, your thrust into politics has been one that has raised eyebrows for many people. You were known to be a prominent member of the People's National Movement Party here on the island, and just as indicated in that video, having to make a tough decision whether or not to switch from red to blue. Tell us about, your political history a bit. Give us a little bit of understanding of who is Keegan Denoon and what would have caused such a huge shift in your political loyalty and your political career.
I mean, I would agree with you that that question has been on a lot of persons' mind. I've answered that question so many times in so many interviews. The thing is, I grew up in politics. Yeah, I grew up seeing persons serve, grew up seeing persons campaigning. But I also grew up seeing persons having political fatigue. You know, they walk and they say they haven't seen their representative in so long and so forth. As I indicated, that was a very difficult decision to make. It has had some interesting repercussions. People have called me Judas. And those persons clearly are not very familiar with the Bible. Because if I was really Judas, I would not have I would not have left the party. I would have still been there, and like many others, upset and doing the party harm. The thing is, Chanel, for me, politics is about serving people. Politics is about ensuring that you seek the best interests of the people you claim to love. And so, when the time came, and I would have given that story earlier, when the young men came to me and said, Keegan, the only time we would really get proper representation is if you go and serve us, because you have been serving outside of office. Imagine what you can do for the community in office. And you have to do some deep introspection as an individual, recognizing that you must always put people before party. And that is what I did. I put the people before party.
Right. But even as you talk about the transition that was made, you know, you indicated that a decision was made after the leaking of that voice note among some of your colleagues within the previous colleagues under the People's National Movement, you know, speculating that you were in the group but undermining the group, and in the group but wanting to be a part of the TPP. And you indicated that after that came out, that gave you the thrust to want to actually make that decision. So how long have you been propositioned to make that crossing over?
Earlier in the year, and it is not something that I hid from my colleagues in my previous organization. When the proposition came, I had a conversation with my then political leader, Mr. Dennis, indicating what would have occurred. And so if the information came out, it would not have been a surprise. But you know, politics is a very interesting playing field. And so for me, I have not leaked any information from the PNM. I have not taken any strategies. I mean, some say I was in strategy meeting. There was no strategy at the time. I don't know if there is one now. And so if you recognize, I have not mounted any platform and dragged the PNM in any kind of way. I have not said anything to ill-speak the organization. I can mount a platform and talk all manner of things. But I have chosen to leave the organization without any animosity, chosen to leave without any bad blood. And so there are many persons who are trying to, what you would call, draw me out and get into that bacchanal and confusion. But I'm not here for bacchanal and confusion. I am here for the service of the people. And I have been able to, over the past month and so, ramp up my service to the people. I've seen people who need significant help, and I've been able to assist them. I have been able to assist people with food vouchers, with hampers. A young man in my community's house burnt down. Up to yesterday, I was there, walking him through the process of how to ensure and get back all the stuff, the fire reports, and so forth. And so for me, politics is a personal touch. You must know the people that you want to serve. And I have spent my entire life serving. If you look at my track record, for the amount of interviews that I've had here, in different capacities, as president of the village council, as chairman for the credit committee of the credit union, as a director of the credit union, as TTYA president, service is a part of
the YES program. I think we had conversations about YES.
And so every opportunity I've been given to serve, I have served, and I've served well. And so what they will try to do is try to label me that I betrayed the organization, but I have not. Have you seen me mount any platforms and drag the People's National Movement? I have not.
Understood. So even as you look at the district, Buku Mount Pleasant, what are your big ticket items that you will implement if given the opportunity to serve that district?
Well, walking my district, the first question I would ask my constituents is, what does a successful 4-year term look like to you? Because one must understand that when you are putting plans and policies in place, it must be guided by the people that are going to benefit from them. And so for some persons, they just want to see their representative more because they are comfortable. For others, it has to do with assistance. For others, it has to do with sporting. And so the first thing that I would be doing is ensuring that all sporting facilities in my electoral district are up to mark, well maintained. And so the Buku sporting facility at the field there would be one of the first big ticket items that we will be looking at.
Tell me a bit about the economic activity in the area. Buku, Mount Pleasant, Canaan has in recent time become a key economic hub on the island. A lot of businesses going up around there. Even on that Shervan Road, you see a lot of businesses, townhouses, food hubs, restaurants, hotels, Airbnbs, you name it. It's clustered around that area. What are some of your ideas to engage the business community?
Well, that's a very good question as well. I have been engaging the business community. I've met with a number of them. And most, if not all of them, have expressed the same thing. They are willing and ready to partner for the betterment of the community. Buku, Canaan, Mount Pleasant is so well positioned. It's like 12 minutes from Scarborough, 12 minutes from the airport, right in the center of all the activities. When you come down to the Buku beach, you would recognize that that has become one of the most popular beaches on the island. And so the young persons have been doing their own entrepreneurial skills there. But what we want to do is have a bit more management of the facility, install some huts, install some washroom facilities, some changing rooms, ensuring that it's a bit more up to mark and a bit more friendly and user-friendly and so forth. We have also seen the need for a slipway down at the bay there, and also extending the jetty based on conversation with the fishermen and for the persons who use the facility. When you come to the Canaan area, we recognize that they have some of the best sporting persons. I mean, I did a football league the other day called the Buku Ballpark, something about we were reintroducing it. And a team from Canaan came and won out the league. And so you would recognize that Buku Mount Pleasant has some of the best footballers in Tobago. So what we are going to do is ensure that we hone and develop those skills. And we're going to be competing among the electoral districts in the upcoming years. And I'm going to ensure that my district is the best and continues to be the best. Additionally, I've also seen a significant need for assistance for single parents. In walking the electoral district, I've met a number of single mothers, few single fathers as well, who need some significant assistance. And so with the assistance of the business community, what we are going to do is ensure that the 3 community centers that are in the electoral district, well, 2, Buku and Mount Pleasant, and there's one bordering my district at Canaan, are going to be used as what we call homework centers. That way, there is never going to be a child who is unable to submit an assignment because the parents were unable to assist them. There's never going to be a child who is unable to do their homework because there's someone at the homework center to assist them and so forth. Here we will be able to assist the most vulnerable in the community as well.
One of the areas that I think a lot of single parents need assistance with is childcare. Right. From seeing how the outside world, particularly in first world countries, function as it pertains to childcare, one of the things that I deem to be lacking here in Tobago is an affordable childcare system that may implement even temporary childcare. Let's say, for instance, there are a number of single parents who work 2 jobs, sometimes even 1 job, but the hours are very restricting. Sometimes they pick up the children from school and they have the kids with them at work. Mm-hmm. Is there an opportunity to create after-school care even at these community centers, whereby after school children can be dropped off at the community center, be given care until parents are finished working at 5 or at 6 to ensure that that extra support is given for persons who are not able to have that family support?
Right, and so that is where the homework centers come into play. Yes, they would be able to drop off their children there. There would be after school care, but they would not only be after school care, there will be after school education. And so we did a pilot project recently there down at Boku during the summer vacation. And there were students who came in that could not write their names. But because of the good assistance with Miss Patrice there, a teacher that volunteered to host the class for us, we would have seen children come out of that camp after 6 weeks, being able to write their names, being able to spell better, being able to write and so forth. And that little assistance goes a long way, because you would recognize that the earlier you capture students and you teach them and train them, the better contributors they would be to the society growing up. And so we have to ensure, as an administration, that we not only take care of the most vulnerable among us, but we give our young people the best opportunity at succeeding, thereby being able to contribute to our socio-economic development of the greatest little island on the planet.
Excellent. And even as we round off the discussion this morning, what do you say to persons who say, well, you know, Keegan is young, and when he speaks to the youth, and he focuses on targets youth, but what about the senior citizens? What about the widows within the community, or the widowers?
And so in my walking as well, I've met a number of senior citizens, and I've recognized that they have not only health challenges, but more specifically mobility challenges, which can be assisted by us reviving and reintroducing what you would call that Golden Movers program, where you come, you shuttle the older persons, you bring them together, you have health checks regularly, you have activities for them at least 2 or 3 times a week to ensure that they keep their mobility up. I've met a few of them who need what I would call water therapy because of their knees and their joints and so forth. So to introduce a program for them that assists them with that kind of mobility, because some I have met say, we really want to go to the beach, but there's no one to take us. And that is where the division, especially of community development, will come into play, to be that shoulder to lean on in their older years, as they would have given their life and service to this island.
What do you say to the persons who have become disenchanted with politics, and they're watching on and they're saying, that's just talk, that's what politicians do, it's election season, they come, they make promises. What are you doing to ensure that even initiatives like that, you make sure that it is implemented if you are given the opportunity to serve the people?
The good thing about me, Chanel, is that I have functioned both in and out of the government space. And so I function in the NGO space, and I function in the administration space. And so for me, there is no excuse for non-performance. There's always a way. And if the way has to be non-governmental, we will get it done. And so if you look at my track record of service to the people of Tobago, it has been one that where I don't make any excuses. You could look at my track record as the president of the Buko Village Council, where we would have revitalized the council, we would have made the Easter crab and groceries even a much better product that we offer. And so for the persons who are suffering from what I would call political fatigue, I would tell them, have faith, have hope. This is a candidate that does not make excuses. This is a candidate that literally aspires to inspire before he expires. This is a candidate that serves the people, has served and would continue to serve. And so just have faith and go to the polls on January the 12th and put your X, like Keegan Dinoon. The symbol is the anchor.
Understood. Well, we want to thank you so much for being here this morning, and we're wishing you all the best in the upcoming Tobago House of Assembly election. Come Monday, the 12th of January, guys, it's just a few short days away. And so, again, we're wishing you all the best. We're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back with much more conversations right after this. See you soon.
how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. More, live more.
Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, buljoil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules, or if you are having a cooking day off.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So, even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
The following is a paid political advertisement.
Tobago, stand up and be counted. Join the TPP family on Wednesday, January 7th for 2 powerful public meetings. Come out at AMPLIA and Glen Road Junction at 6 p.m. Come here, the best candidate for Darrell Spring Wim, Ricky Joe Field, shaped and grounded by community and family values. A vision-driven leader, ready to serve and transform the district. Then we journey to Bethel together at Egypt Junction, Bethel at 8 p.m. Come here, the best candidate for Bethel New Grange, Karen Henry, a service-driven leader who is ready to serve the community. One night, 2 meetings. Come out in your numbers on Wednesday, January 7th, 6 p.m. at Montpelier and Glen Road Junction, Glen Road, and Egypt Junction, Bethel from 8 p.m. Tobago is we. Tobago deserves excellence. On January 12th, 2026, vote for bold leadership. Vote for the anchor. Vote for the Tobago People's Party.
Tobago is we vote in TPP, Tobago People's Party. Now the anchor host.
That was a paid political advertisement.
Hair goals, we've got 'em. At S&R Hair Fantasy, we provide a wide variety of quality hair, the latest hair accessories, adult toys, skin lightening products, female underwear, and much more under one roof. Check us out on Shelbourne Street in Plymouth or call us at 317-0808. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. S&R Hair Fantasy for queens who know exactly what they want.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
The Caribbean is more than.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. As you guys can tell this morning, we have a power-packed session. All the politicians are in the room. We proceed with our conversation this morning, and we're heading over to the Purple Party. It's the IDA, the Innovative Democratic Alliance. And this morning we are chatting with the political leader, Dr. Denise Sawyer-Fat-Angus, as well as the candidate for Mason Hall, Mariah. And we are chatting, but via phone conversation though, with Shelly-Ann Lewis. Good morning and welcome. I am hoping that your audio is fine, Shelly-Ann. This is
good morning. Good morning.
To make sure that you are with us. Excellent. Now you are the lone woman in that district in this upcoming election, as it pertains to some of your opponents. Talk to us a bit about how you got involved in politics and why is it important for you to come out and give representation for the district in this particular election.
Okay, again, present good morning to my IDEA team, the people of Tobago, to you, Tobago Updates, and more so importantly, Mason Hall North, Mariah. First, allow me to introduce myself. Okay, I am Shelly-Ann Lewis. I went to Dollarford Anglican School, then to Roxburgh Secondary, and then I moved on to further my education in Tobago Hospitality Tourism Institute in Mount St. George. I am currently a supervisor in the Unemployment Relief Program. Now, the big question. Could you just repeat the question for me?
Yes, tell us a bit about your thrust into politics. What made you decide to want to step forward and represent this district in this election?
All right. One of the things that made me get into politics is the passion and love for people. Seeing people, being comfortable and all of that. That's the reason why I chose to get into politics. However, why did I choose Mason Hall, Mariah? Because I've been in that constituency for more than, say, 25 years or more. And on the ground as a supervisor, I would have gone to that village, both villages, and, see the neglect of people, the elderly asking for help, assistance around their home and yard. We have the young people would normally approach me. We doesn't have anything for me to do. They don't care about us. They don't even having a little program. They're not opening a little training center for us who's not working. So in this, I see it fit this time around, because when I've had two parties before and they are complaining, so it means that something was not right. So this gives me the opportunity to choose the IDA, having spoken to my leader and understanding what her principles and morals are and what she wants for the people of Tobago. I decide, well, this is the party that I would join because I have the same sentiments that she's sharing.
Excellent.
Yes, I've been on the ground with the young people, assisting them, elderly and stuff. So being into the election, being chosen on January the 12th, God permits, will give me a bigger and larger opportunity to help the people of Mason Hall, North Mariah, and by extension, who knows?
Understood. Dr. Angus, thank you for joining us as well as political leader of the IDA. Tell us why it was important for you to have representation in this particular election in this district, and why was it a point for you to choose Shelly Ann Lewis? How was she selected as the nominee for this area?
Well, I think the people would have chosen Shelly Ann Lewis. We have been committed to bringing the people in to the conversation. And if we are talking about empowering communities and giving them responsibility, it was important for us to start it from even how we chose our candidates in the campaign. And therefore, across Tobago, we went to different communities. We asked, okay, who do you want to represent you? They were not IDA persons per se. They were just groups of persons that we went to and we said, who would you like to recommend you? And oftentimes you had names, coming up. We would then approach those persons. They would say yes or they say no. And if they said no, we went back to communities and said, well, who else is there? And so that is how the process would have gone for just about all of our candidates. And so that is why we say to the people, you chose your candidates. Now, sometimes that has caused a challenge for us because we don't often know everyone who is coming in. And so it is for us to now work together to make sure that it can work in terms of going forward. And that is what we're going to see in communities when we give them power and we give them the resources. Every community is going to be different in terms of how they respond, how they behave, how they react. And therefore, it's for us to know that we have to have patience with the process and trust the process, knowing very well that at the end of it, all will be well, regardless of how it looks. Everyone knows that you start as a caterpillar. In making the butterfly, you start in the caterpillar stage, and then there's the cocoon stage where everything is all mixed up and pure confusion. And then at the end of it, emerging is that beautiful butterfly. And so we have to be prepared to go through the process.
Right. Shelly-Ann, tell us a bit about some of your big ticket ideas. What are some of the major transformations that you are projecting or suggesting in this upcoming elections for your area?
I would have heard halfway the question. I'm not sure what happened there.
I said, what are some of your big ticket ideas? What are some of your big ideas to help transform the district?
What are some of my ideas for the constituency?
Yes, to transform the district. Some of your big ideas to cause major transformation within the district.
I must some of my ideas. One of my promises that I would have made to the people of Mason and North Mariah is to always be on the ground so much. When the people are saying they are tired of promises and stuff like that, So they would normally ask, what do I have to bring to the table for them? Yeah? Right. So one of the things that I would have targeted mostly is the young, the young people, boys and girls on the street. Some of them, they just say they doesn't have anywhere to go when the day comes, so they would just be on the street. We on the IDA actually is looking forward to having programs, different learning centers and stuff for this, so they could have something active to do during the day. Also, the district is very active in sports, mainly football, cricket, and we are also, through the IDEA team, we are looking forward to transforming, I should say, the community, yeah, building people and just not buildings,
Right.
We are not just having up buildings and nothing to do with it. We
Right.
are transforming the minds and building people and not just putting all those centers and stuff that they have no access to right now, because the youth were taken away. There are people saying they want to learn plumbing and they want to learn sewing and they have nowhere to do it actually, because the community centers and stuff are at a lockdown. For some reason, I don't know why it was not like that a few years ago. As a matter of fact, my political leader now would have been previous years ago in charge of those community centers, and it was usable, and it was for all. It was for the village community, and it is now taken away. That privilege is now taken away. So you would see some guys hooping by the road, they're trying to make kites and all those things, and they are saying having the use of the community centers and the multi-purpose centers in the constituency, it would be a great effort for them. So under the idea with my leader, I know definitely that is one of the access she will give back the people of Tobago, the freedom to have the use of the community centers so that they can have classes and have gathering with the young people, even having reading classes for even the elderly, maths classes. There are elderly people willing to gather a group and learn how to read still. Some of them would say, Shirley, we don't even know the maths that we grandchildren bringing home now. So if you could gather us and teach us, bring in somebody to do that. So those are some of my ideas for Miss Norma Mariah. And as I said, in general with the idea, it will be transformed all over Tobago.
Excellent. And, finally, as we round up the discussion, Dr. Angus, you were at the conversation with the chief last night, and you got a lot of positive responses from persons looking on. Why was it important for you to be a part of those conversations and really take a stand and be able to bring some of the facts to the fore and express some of the ideologies of the IDA on that particular platform?
At the core of our existence is accountability. And I see that even before I get into office as the chief secretary, that I must be accountable to the people. And that is why 4 years ago, when we had just stepped out as a new party, 4 months old, and election was called, I attended a similar forum like that and presented myself to the people. At that forum, Fali presented as PDP, and the PNM was absent. So at this forum, we are in 2025, 2026, and elections are coming. I am doing the same thing. I am presenting myself to the people and being accountable to the people for them to see what they're getting. It was very disappointing and perhaps not surprising that we did not have Fali Chavez Augustine there, or the TPP, and we had the PNM. But it just shows what we consider to be disrespect, because there are many people who are looking on and looking forward to hearing from all of the leaders as to what exactly they're putting forward and how can they trust the leadership in going forward. I think it sends a big message that he chose not to be there.
Understood. We want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's
Before I go,
discussions.
I was actually told that I was invited as a candidate, because I think people sometimes forget that I am too a candidate of Scarborough Mount Grace, and the people of Scarborough Mount Grace are highly upset at a number of things. Number one, the poor drainage systems. Number two, the African snail that is taking them over. Three, that they do not have access to their community centers and their Y zones, and that they have no ownership. They did not get the stadium that was promised to them by both administrations, both PNM and TPP. Everyone knows that when I was there, persons had access to just about every facility that they had. The Y zone was gifted to them. The community center was returned to them. And as soon as I stepped out of that role, the PNM shut them down, took away the Y zone and the community center from them. And the TPP did not give it back to them, even though they promised. That was one of their promises. So, doing a lot of work in the area throughout the years. Persons know that I would have been committed in the area. The mural on the wall coming in, young people asked that they wanted to do something, and I supported them to execute that project. There are many more areas that we would have supported them in, starting the color hall harvest, starting the football league competition on the field, the color hall league competition. Those are some of the things that, as the secretary back then, I would have facilitated and done. Recently, persons, like I said, are very upset. The roads are in a horrible, deplorable state. I cannot believe that somebody being the Secretary of Infrastructure, Trevor James, did not see about his electoral district. It is in a deplorable state, and coming to pave the roadways in the midst of an election. I understand one of our community members actually stopped them from paving in front of his gate in Friends Field, because, why are you coming to pave roads and patch roads the week before election? That should have been done during the 4 years when people's cars were being broken up, dropping into all of those potholes. And therefore, also the fact that a lot of the drains have not been cleaned, public health has not been seen coming around. So there's been a lot undone in that community. And so I am asking the people of Scarborough Mount Grace, you know me. You have experienced what I have done with you before. And I'm asking you to officially now give me the chance to represent you. When I was doing all those things, I was not your representative. I'm asking you to officially give me the chance, as the official chance to represent you, and also as the most experienced politician in this race, having been the Secretary of Community Development and Culture, having been the presiding officer, and having had much experience in the health sector, which is in total shambles right now. And we need a strong hand to turn around the sector, to turn around the economy. So let us reset Tobago together.
Understood.
So thank you.
Again, we want to thank you so much, Dr. Angus, for being here this morning. And we're wishing the IDA all the best in the upcoming Tobago House of Assembly come January 12th. Just a few short days away from our people here in Tobago heading to the polls. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's discussions. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and have a great day.
Tobago Updates.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise.